What's going on? What's going on? This is Dwayne Nettles, aka Mr. Nettles, and we're here live with the Laugh and Hip Hop podcast. To my left, we have my brother. I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Curtis Rivera, aka Jose Rivera. You feel me? We just here to get y'all some good information and let's get it popping, Wayne. Let's go, Mr.
All right,
Nettles.
brother. So this is our first episode of the Laugh and Hip Hop podcast. So for those who don't know us, we can give you a little background information on us, who we are, and what we're currently doing. So I'm gonna let my brother start first.
I go by the name Jose Rivera. I'm a hip hop artist. I've done records with Mickey Fats. He was on the second cover of Double XL. I've done a record with Core. He was acclaimed by Meek Mill, where he said he was like one of the up and coming artists out of Philly. And we're going to tape right now. It's called Become a Legendary 2, Dreams Never Die. I don't have a date to release it. I'm just trying to finish up the recordings, and we'll be good to go. So,
all right, I'm Dwayne Nettles, aka Mr. Nettles. I am an active stand-up comic in Columbia, South Carolina. I've been doing stand-up since about February. So far, so good. It's been going pretty good. I'm currently nominated for Best Local Comic in Columbia by 3 times Best of Columbia 2020. Really got into comedy because it's really something I always thought was good, something I wanted to pursue, and just been jumping in head first since then. So me and Jose, we know each other a real long time. Met Jose back in 2004. Is that right?
that is right.
Yeah, we some old niggas.
Nah,
So
bro,
we're gonna
that's
talk
you
a
back.
little bit briefly about the day we met, the first day we met. So Kurt, you start. What do you remember about the first day we met?
The first day that we met, I believe I met you at, I want to say it was Jenkins Hall with Eric Richardson,
It wasn't
as I
Jenkins.
recall. It was not?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't Jenkins. It was Jenkins.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I'm like, hold up, I ain't that old now. And something that I remember from Mr. Nettles, aka Dwayne, was I just felt like he was somebody that was cool, calm, and collect. And we just caught a good vibe, and then we just went from there, just being good friends. So,
all right, so that's a lie, most of it. So the first day we met, I remember meeting this guy outside of Jenkins Hall on Bennett's campus. All I remember is seeing this skinny guy moving in. He came out of Jenkins. And then I'm gonna tell you something crazy about Jose. Jose's real name is Curtis. I'm gonna refer to him as Curtis a lot throughout the show. So when you hear me say Curtis, I'm referring to Jose. So I remember Curtis coming out. Curtis comes downstairs. I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm Dwayne. And he's like, "I'm Curtis Rivera." So I'm like, "Whoa!" I'm like, only thing Spanish about Curtis was his last name, so it threw me off when I first met him. So that's the craziest thing in the world. But Curtis is Panamanian. One of my best friends. Met him on the first day on campus. We've been friends, been kicking it ever since. Moved into being roommates eventually. So we've been kicking it ever since for a very long time. All right, so like we said, we both met at Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina in 2004. So we both went to HBCU. So I feel like this is the first episode. This is debuting on Juneteenth. This is gonna be a Juneteenth episode. I felt like we should discuss HBCUs. So me and Kerry have conversation about this all the time. So we're gonna talk a little about our introduction to HBCUs. So Curtis, tell me about the first time being introduced to HBCU.
my introduction to an HBCU might be different from my homeboy Mr. Nettles. I came from a Catholic, say predominantly white private school, where I ran cross country and track. So the individuals that went there, they were going to the Georgia States, they were going to the UGAs. So when I selected Benedict and I looked at the school, I'm like, this is great. And then when I went to the campus, I was like, wow, this gives me an opportunity to where I could be around like-minded individuals like myself, you know what I'm saying? So it was an opportunity to where I felt like I can, you know, meet new people from different areas of the country, but they're still Black. And they're gonna understand the same struggles that I've been through. They probably been through those same struggles as well. So it was something that was I looked upon like I'm gonna accept this challenge and I'm gonna grow. And a lot of those guys that I graduated with, I still have like good relationships with as well. I can look back and see where we started from and where we ended, and I'm like, wow, you know.
But my introduction to HBCUs was a little bit earlier. Mother and father are both the graduates of HBCUs. My mother actually went to Benedict College. I had an older brother, went to South Carolina State. So really in high school, I knew that I wanted to go HBCU from jump. So ended up found my way to Benedict. Probably the most amazing 4 years of my life. Before we go into the next topic, most memorable moment from Benedict College, Curtis.
I'm trying to think. Most memorable moment at Benedict College. To be honest with you, I think it's the experience that me and you had when we traveled to Georgia State because of the opportunities that they didn't have, like, what was it, co-ed dorms? Well, they had co-ed dorms, right?
So Benedict, we had co-ed dorms, but the boys were on the left side of the dorm and the girls were on the right side of the dorm. And we didn't have visitation, so you couldn't go. So you couldn't go to females' rooms. Oh, your sound went out, Hurt.
On the same floor.
There we go.
Where it could be like one room, it could be a group of girls, and then like the next door down would be like a group of guys. And, you know, visitation from the opposite sex was allowed. So that was something that we didn't have at Benedict, you know. So, you know, we had our fun and enjoyed our time at Georgia State. That was something that I can look back and remember on that as well. So,
listen, I almost lost my scholarship driving to Atlanta every weekend my sophomore year. So that was a great memory. But the best memory from Benedict College for me was Miami trip junior year, going to Miami. So we drove to Miami our junior year. And I was the only one 21, so nobody could go in the club, but that was a great experience. All right, so let's move into the next topic. Let's talk about the significance of HBCUs. Why are HBCUs so significant?
You can answer the question first, and I'll just piggyback off you.
Okay, so I'll start. In my opinion, significance of HBCUs. HBCUs are very significant. There's something amazing about being educated around young, like-minded people that look like you and being taught by people that look like you. And it's just it's a very rewarding experience where you spend a lot of time learning about yourself. I know for me specifically, I would say going to HBCU, spending time at Benedict, meeting professors and meeting other like-minded individuals like me. It was my first opportunity to have what I called I don't know if you would call it a spiritual awakening, but I really had a moment of clarity to figure out, about my history, about who I was. And really, for the first time, I would say I had a level of wokeness that I didn't have before prior to getting to HBCU. What you feel, Kurt?
One of the most proudest moments, probably when I was going to Benedict at the HBCU, was convocation, or moments where we had to dress up. Because you have thousands of students, you got guys dressing up in shirts and ties, and then you also have the females in their professional, dress attire. At those moments when we first was going to the freshman seminar and the sophomore seminar, we didn't see the impact that it has today. We're showing up with pants looking like Steve Harvey. You got guys wearing Air Force Ones with suits. But by the time we were seniors, it was like the school had groomed us so well, and they were so hard on us when it came for us to get job opportunities, I feel like we were well prepared. We knew how to act, we knew how to dress, and we knew how to carry ourselves. We knew what was needed on the resume. We knew what was not needed on the resume as well. So also, I would say Benedict College allowing students to write their senior paper. They did it in the form of almost how you would have to present like a dissertation when you're trying to get your master's degree, but they wanted to make sure that we were prepared to go to the next level education-wise before we went out of Benedict, because they knew that we were going to be competing against people from Notre Dame, people from Penn State, Syracuse, Emory University. So Benedict College took the time to make some things harder on us to where when we get out in the real world, we were prepared to take on those challenges.
Bet. And final last question referring to HBCUs. Are HBCUs relevant in the year 2020?
I would say yes. I've seen I don't think HBCUs have slowed down. I think more people are finding out the significance of going to an HBCU and the importance of going to an HBCU. I've seen generations and generations of individuals where their grandmother went to an HBCU, their mother went to an HBCU, and then they went to the HBCU because of the principles and the opportunities that it allowed for their grandparents and their parents. They pass it down to their children. And even if I have kids, like, I would probably send my child to an HBCU because what it taught me.
Yeah. I'm definitely in the same boat. HBCUs are definitely relevant in the year 2020. I think the biggest thing for me, especially being a student at an HBCU, and really thinking about the current climate of America as it currently stands, Black people in this country deal with so much in terms of racial discrimination and just dealing with a lot of baggage just on a day-to-day basis. I can truly say for 4 years of my life, I didn't have to worry about that, right? I got my whole life to be Black. Well, I got to spend 4 years where I didn't have to worry about outside, where I was protected in the walls of Benedict College, and I'm sure other HBCU students feel the same way by going to HBCU. So I feel like they're very relevant. They're teaching young people a lot about their culture. They're steeped in tradition, a whole lot of history there, and it's just an experience you can't explain without going there. So I think they're definitely relevant in 2020. All right, guys.
I want to add one more thing to that.
Go ahead, jump in, Kurt.
Let me add on. One thing I noticed about the HBCUs as well is like when you go there and when you graduate, it's more of like a family and like brother or a sisterhood atmosphere.
Yes.
When I was in Benedict, there were individuals that I barely spoke to when I was like in the school, but like when I saw them out in public, it was almost like, yo, what's good? You know what I'm saying? It was almost like I had knew that person. Even graduating wise, there could be someone that went to Howard, they went to FAMU. You're having a conversation, and when you say, "Oh, I went to a HBCU," when they say they went to their HBCU, it like the conversation becomes more intimate, and I feel like that's one of the things that I like about going to HBCU.
That's a big one too, Kurt. Like one of the biggest things I say about going to HBCU, it's more of it's like more of a it's like a lifetime membership. Like once you become part of an HBCU family, like that's ingrained in you forever. Especially with the tradition of homecoming and just seeing people you went to school with, and you just chop it up genuinely just off the strength of having that experience going there. So that's definitely one of the biggest things about going. All right, so we're gonna hop into our next segment. We're gonna have a recurring segment on our show called My Top 5. Since this is the Juneteenth edition of Laugh and Hip Hop podcast, this week's top 5 is going to be top 5 Black movies. All right, so basically how it's going to work, we're both going to share our top 5s. We're going to kind of talk about our top 5s, why we chose these to be our top 5, and we're going to have some dialogue and discussion. So who want to go for? You want to go first, Jose? You want me to go first?
You go first.
All right, so I'm gonna go first. So you're gonna get the definitive list from Jump. All right. So these are in no particular order. No particular order. So these aren't ranked, but these are my top 5 black movies. Number 1, Boys in the Hood. Classic movie. Cuba Gooding Jr. Great movie, like the traditional hood movie. Ice Cube is Doughboy, one of the best characters in my opinion in cinematic history. Produced by the great John Singleton. You can't get a better hood movie than Boys in the Hood. Number 2, Training Day. Now before you jump on me, Training Day is a black film. It's directed by a black director. The leading role is by one of the most famous black actors in history, Denzel Washington. And he won an Academy Award for his portrayal of Alonzo in this film. Training Day, in my opinion, greatest movie of all time. So definitely cracks the top 5 of best black movies. Number 3, Baby Boy. Tyrese as Baby Boy. Ving Rhames as the mother's boyfriend, sitting naked, cooking breakfast in the living room. Classic scenes, classic black film. It's on repeat on BET. I'm sure it's on BET right now. Baby Boy, top 5 black film. Number 4, Coming to America. Classic black film starring a classic comedian, few classic comedians, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall. They play about 15 roles apiece. Classic black cinematography. And rounding out my list, and I cannot have a black films list without this film, greatest black film in history, in my opinion, starring Ice Cube, Friday. There's no more iconic character than Craig and Smokey. Classic lines, bye Felicia. You can't get better than this. Friday, classic black film. So that's we might as well stop here. That's the iconic top 5 black films list. But I'm gonna give Jose a chance to give his top 5. Let's see what he has to say.
I appreciate, saying your comedy, and I was very flabbergasted by the movies that you suggested. Some of them were good. Yeah,
that's a T word.
Yeah, that's my TI right now. Let's go. Number 1, we're gonna go into Juice. Let's see. The reason why I like Juice was when Tupac went into the store and they killed the Puerto Rican guy, and then my guy Raheem had died. You know what I'm saying? It just got me right there. I was in the movie. It had drawn me in. Number 2, Boys in the Hood. And the reason why I love Boys in the Hood was because it was something that I could relate to. As far as, living in a black community, you're able to see like the football stars, the basketball stars, and then you got the other side where you got the dudes, the dope boys, you see what I'm saying? So I'm able to see both of those because I'm going to school and I'm seeing this. I'm in my community and I'm seeing this. So this is something I can relate to.
Jose was Ricky without getting shot.
Listen, I'm not Ricky. Let's hold on. Let's get it. Nobody wanted to be. Listen, nobody wanted to be Ricky. You didn't.
Jose is Ricky if he dodged the bullet.
Listen, nobody wants to be Ricky, dog. No. Nobody wanted to be Ricky.
I can see, look, Jose! Hey, so remember Cuba Gooding Jr. went back in the house after Ricky died?
Oh, man. Oh, my God. You know what else I remember about that movie? I remember when they brought Ricky home, and then the mama was beating up on a dope boy. I'm like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of appalled. I'm shocked. You know what I'm saying?
When Cuba got back to the house and he was fighting the air. Oh my God!
Yeah,
I hate to say it. I hate to say it. That's the funniest part of the movie, in my opinion. That is a.
And my third movie is gonna be Poetic Justice. That was a movie that starred like Tupac, and you had Janet Jackson, and it just captivated my attention like the whole time. Number 4, I would have to say Baby Boy. And something I will always remember from that is Jody. You know what I'm saying? And Jody basically, you know, he's fighting, and you know what I'm saying, the stepdad role, and he got to deal with the dude from jail. You know, he got to deal with Snoop. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoyed that movie.
Listen, best line in Baby Boy is when the little kid is talking to Snoop Dogg, and he's like, "I hate you." And Snoop Dogg look back, "Hate you too, Nick."
Oh my God. Oh my God. And then the most impactful Black movie in my life out of all times, it would have to be Rosewood. I remember being a kid, and I'm talking about, we all piled up in my aunt's room. We up there like, yo, we gotta watch this movie. And I seen how everything had went on. I kid you not, when I went to school, all my white friends, I didn't want to be around them no more. But they didn't understand, because they probably didn't see that movie, but I saw the movie. I seen everything that was going on. And like my parents, they're trying to explain like the things that are going on like in this community in this time period. And I couldn't believe it, because at that moment I was a kid. So like all the white friends I had, they weren't like racist to me. We're in elementary school. So everybody's playing with each other. Everybody's enjoying life. They're just being kids. And then you see this adult movie, you find out that it was like factual. It was real. These things took place. You know what I'm saying? So you see all the hatred in the movie. And we didn't, as kids, we didn't understand like why these adults were so hateful. We didn't understand.
Listen, if you don't, when you finish watching Rosewood, if you don't want to punch a white person in the face, you weren't paying attention to the movie. Oh my God. All right, so it's clear. I definitely won the top 5.
Oh no, you didn't.
But we'll matter of fact, what we're gonna do every week, we're gonna post a poll who has the better top 5. So we're gonna list our top 5s on the Instagram page. We're gonna have a poll, and we're gonna vote for the best top 5. So we'll see. We'll see what the fans say.
I have a question for you. Did you put Juice in your top 5?
Juice was not in my top 5, but I think
you're
a Tupac stan. You're a Tupac stan.
You lost. You already.
You're a Tupac stan. You got Tupac in 2 of your films.
I'm the people's champ. The people gonna vote for Tupac. You can't vote against Tupac.
Yeah,
I lost.
I
forgot Training Day.
I got the original. I got the original West Coast gangster in 2 of my films. I got Ice Cube in Boys in the Hood and Friday. Oh, yeah. And Ice Cube is actually from LA. Tupac is a transplant. So we know this is West over here. But we're gonna leave it up to the fans. We'll see what the fans say.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna move into some discussion. So now we're gonna talk about the NFL a little bit. So some of the things we're gonna talk about, some of the topics we're gonna talk about on the show. We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about sneakers, fashion, music, comedy, whole nine. So we're gonna move into sports. So we're gonna start with the NFL, and we'll start with the NFL, and we'll talk about the NFL and their relationship with Colin Kaepernick, or their lack of a relationship with Colin Kaepernick, I should say. So Jose, I'm gonna let you start. How do you feel about the NFL and their stance on Colin Kaepernick, especially in today's climate?
That the NFL, they realize they made a mistake. They're trying to backpedal. And I feel that Colin Kaepernick has all the leverage that he needs. If he doesn't get in the league, it's still going to prove that the NFL was wrong when they tried to discipline him for kneeling. If he gets into the league, then it's definitely going to make them look even worse. Because at that moment, if Colin Kaepernick is playing good, then people are going to wonder, then what was the real reason? Was it really the flag, or was it because he was protesting against things that people in a Black community, or just people in general that look at as bad, when he was just protesting against those things, and those owners didn't want to use that platform to let Colin Kaepernick express what he wanted to express.
Question: does Colin Kaepernick have a job when the NFL starts back up?
Yes, I think so.
I don't know if Colin Kaepernick has a job when the NFL starts back because the
What makes you think that,
the
Dwayne?
NFL. Listen, even with the NFL and their backpedaling, I feel like the NFL will only backpedal so much because the NFL doesn't want to be looked at as if we blackball this man when they want to say it's his playing ability. They want to say he's problematic. They want to say he's an issue. They want to say he kneels for the like. They're going to use everything in their power to say that it's not either racially motivated or it's motivated by his protest. They run for dear life with that. And I think the biggest thing what makes me think Colin Kaepernick will have a job is the fact that the NFL went around the world to say that Colin Kaepernick is disrespecting the flag and that it's not about racial bigotry. And as soon as the riots happen, the NFL comes out with this statement to say that we stand against racial oppression and the mistreatment of Black people. When Colin Kaepernick came out of his mouth from jump and said, "This is not about the flag. This is about racial injustice and about Black people being treated unfairly in this country." So I have a hard time believing the NFL is going to give Colin Kaepernick a job. Now, I would say this. I definitely want to see Colin Kaepernick get a job. This is, no matter of fact, I'll tell you this. This is what I want to see. I want to see NFL offer Colin Kaepernick a job. I want Colin Kaepernick to sign with a team. And I want Colin Kaepernick to proceed the next day to say, "I just coming to announce my retirement from the NFL because I just wanted to prove a point. I have plenty of money. I'm good. And I'm not playing for you bigots anymore." And I'll be the end of the story. So let's navigate this space. Since we're talking about the flag, Colin Kaepernick, his stance on the flag that the NFL tried to parade. How do we feel about Drew Brees' initial comments about he's not for anybody disrespecting the flag?
I felt that Drew Brees was very selfish, and he was only thinking from as far as
privilege.
From his, there you go, from a privileged standpoint. So Drew Brees is looking at his father and his grandfather. They fought for that flag, right? So he's saying like, hey, like I disagree with if you kneel during the flag, I feel that it's bad. But he's not thinking about the flags served with his father and grandfather, and now their sons and their grandkids are still being mistreated in America today. He's only looking at it from an individual standpoint. He's not looking at America of like how it represents so many ethnicities and cultures in America.
What's worse, Drew Brees' initial statement, Drew Brees' backsliding, or the pictures of Drew Brees kneeling during the anthem a few seasons ago?
The pictures of him kneeling.
Or the pictures of him hanging with Donald Trump in the press box.
Oh yeah, that tops it. You're absolutely right.
I'll give you this.
And I'm trying to be very professional.
I'm gonna give you this. The worst part about the Drew Brees discussion is Drew Brees' apology, because I know Drew Brees' apology is bullshit. I'm gonna recreate Drew Brees' apology. Look into my eyes. My eyes. These are sad eyes. These are the eyes of a apologetic man, a sad man. I should have never said what I said, and I'm apologizing. Drew Brees don't want to get canceled. That's why Drew Brees is apologizing. Drew Brees know he played in one of the blackest cities in America. His teammates got in that ass, and Drew Brees don't want him. Number one, Drew Brees don't want his linemen not blocking for him when the season starts back. So Drew Brees comes out with his BS apology. That's my take on it.
And another thing I want to say about Drew Brees, I was very disappointed because when they got hit by the hurricanes, don't get me wrong, every ethnicity in Louisiana was affected by it. But when it comes to like the people that came up or they were able to find solutions quicker, white people were able to do that first. It was like people like years and years later, like they had to move to either another city or wherever they were living at, they couldn't even live there anymore. So like, I'm talking about like, I'm thinking that he was a part of that process as far as helping the community like build back up again. And then for him to say that comment, it was like a stab in the heart, in my opinion.
Is Drew Brees canceled?
In my opinion, yes. I think he's canceled. Well, white people, no. I don't think he's canceled. But I don't think the city of New Orleans will get behind Drew Brees. If they do, they're going to look like some idiots.
You heard it here first. Drew Brees is canceled by the black people of New Orleans and the black NFL fans. Sorry, Drew Brees, you have been canceled. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Let's move into current topic. Being a comedian, this is something that really caught my radar. Dave Chappelle dropped a a surprise special overnight last week, 8/46, kind of in tribute to George Floyd and him being murdered by the police in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're going to discuss briefly some takeaways from the special. Number one is probably the most, to me, it's less of a comedy special and it reminded me more of a lecture. So it was more or less Dave Chappelle venting his frustration with some of the things that have been going on. He addressed some people in the media, specifically Don Lemon and Candace Owens, and we'll get into her a little bit later. But to me, it was very impactful, very significant to me. Discussed some very poignant things, still with comedic overtones, but it was very, very, very solemn, very serious, and very, very direct in his approach. In my opinion, Dave Chappelle, when it comes to comedy, is the GOAT. It was an amazing special. I took a whole lot away from it. I'm gonna give my brother a few minutes to discuss his takeaways from the special.
One of the things that I learned about the special, there were some jokes with Candace Owens that was, had me laughing, but Dave Chappelle, like how serious he was when he was talking about the murder of the gentleman in Minnesota. And then originally he said he didn't even want to watch the video because he didn't want to do that. And then eventually, like when he saw it, like the way that he described it and like how it made him feel, like that was how every black person in America felt. Like they were angry, they were upset. And this is like something that has been going on for generations and generations. And even in his older comedy, he even displayed those racial undertones that African Americans go through in America. And we didn't realize how impactful David Chappelle was until we watched this episode with Dave.
That's big, Curtis. I think one of the big things about Dave, like if we really reflect and look back, and even back to earlier Chappelle show, the racial overtones in his comedy there's always been tones of race and things black people have been dealing with in this country. So I think this special just kind of highlighted that and just allow him to kind of a comfortable space to kind of talk about some of the issues going on, some of the things we've been seeing. I think it's a much needed discussion, sparked some great debate. And I think I really, to be honest, from a entertainment standpoint, I think it's a big move in the right direction as far as getting the conversation started. All right, good deal. So what we're going to do now, every week on the show, we're going to have a segment that we call False Narratives. So this segment was inspired by our brother Maximilian Speed. So we're going to incorporate it into the show. So the way it's going to work, every week, either myself, Jose, or our special guest commentator, whoever comes in, we're going to have a false narrative. So we're basically going to not dispel, but we're going to bring up something that's generally understood just in either the rap community, the comedy community, or the black community in general. And we're going to go against the grain. So I'm going to do the honors of, being this our first episode, I'm going to do the honors of presenting the first false narrative. And my false narrative is, and this is a conversation me and Jose have been having for at least the last month and a half. My false narrative is Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt is not that great of an album. It's just not. And let me not say, when I say that, I don't mean Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt isn't a good album. I'm not saying it's not even a classic album. Upon reflection, Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt does not hold the weight of other Jay-Z classics in his catalog. The singles don't quite hold the weight. The album as a whole doesn't quite hold the weight. And in my opinion, the album didn't age as well. It didn't age like it's not fine wine. It's more like avocado. It was really good if you eat it fresh out the fridge, but if you let it sit there, it's gonna turn brown. So how do you feel about my false narrative, Jose?
I just feel like the whole New York, they're gonna wake up and they're gonna throw peace on you. They're gonna throw spaghetti on you.
Hey, look,
they're gonna be upset.
Hey, New York is in the house right now. God, son. What you talking about, son?
They're not even throwing Timberlands. They're gonna throw some lugs at you, bro. That's what they're gonna do.
Listen.
They're gonna throw the Birdman lugs at you.
Listen.
Disrespectful. What you saying about Jay?
This is going out in New York. Reasonable Doubt's overrated. Dead ass.
That's a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. You know it.
All right,
listen, we're gonna do we should do
I'm gonna back and listen. I'm gonna back up my claim. Claim. Let's think about this thing. Let's think about it. We can't think about it from a space of nostalgia. We can't think about this in terms of a space of my love for Jay-Z, because I love Jay-Z. Jay-Z is one of the greatest of all time. I'm never gonna refute that. But in terms of his catalog, in terms of the strength of his singles, in terms of the strength and quality of some of his other albums, it doesn't hold the weight. When I think about Jay-Z, listen, I can't consider this album as classic as everybody calls it when I can name other Jay-Z albums that are just more classic. Blueprint, more memorable, more classic album. Black Album, more memorable, more classic album. Listen, I've been in the club and heard the Black Album play from beginning to end. When I think about Reasonable Doubt, we got two classic singles. Outside of that, everything else is in terms of Jay-Z. So my classic singles, we got Can't Not the Hustle. Can't Not the Hustle. Man, I give him that. Mary J. Blige feature. Great record. Like you're gonna hear it. And also on this album, bro, that Dead Presidents, Can't Not the Hustle. Everything else, if I never heard again, I wouldn't be upset. Do you disagree?
I disagree highly.
Listen, let's look at other singles. Ain't No Nigga featuring Foxy Brown. Not the best Jay-Z single. If we had a list, Ain't No Nigga as a Jay-Z single on the list of every single Jay-Z's put out, where would this record fall? Probably somewhere around the 25, 30 mark, maybe.
See, let me go over a couple records.
Brooklyn's Finest is
all
right.
It is not all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
No, it's not. It's not all right.
The best thing about Brooklyn Finest is Notorious B.I.G.
All right then. So there you go. It should be above average just from that. And with that Jay-Z verse, it makes it even better. You forgot about Feeling Me. You forgot about that.
Feeling Me is an okay single. Okay.
You forgot about Can I Live?
These don't hold weight.
They do hold weight.
You want to hear Feeling It, or you want to hear Big Pimpin'?
Listen, man, it depends on my vibe, bro.
Nobody's picking Feeling It over Big Pimpin'.
It depends on my vibe, bro. Listen,
excuse me,
the Reasonable Doubt has this mystical, like, it kind of reminds me of like
you know what that mystical thing is called? You know what that mystical thing is called?
It's Gandalf. That's what it is.
That mystical thing you're talking about, that mystical thing is called hype.
No, it's not hype.
It has a lot of hype.
No, you said Jewels was hype. And you might be right.
Jewel Santana.
Yeah, you might.
That's a conversation for another day. Jewel Santana.
Yeah, that's a
overrated rapper.
Okay, so you can say that, but you can't say that with Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable Doubt is
Any
like
New
Joel
York, no,
Santana.
you might have a
Listen,
whole New York come
listen,
fight you.
Reasonable Doubt is very similar to Joel Santana.
Get out
When
of
I
here.
reflect and I think about Joel Santana,
No.
I remember him being
Careful.
very good.
Mm-mm.
When I thought about it and I look back, you know what? He's just okay. Just like Reasonable Doubt.
Listen, New York, I love y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all now, I love y'all New York. I love y'all pizza, LaGuardia. You know what I'm saying? Let me get some spaghetti. Let me get some hoagies. You know, the bodegas. I'm feeling it. But this guy on the other line, I don't know, New York. Y'all might have to cancel him.
I'm sorry, Jay-Z. I'm sorry, Jay-Z. This is not your best work. I'm sorry. But with that being said, I love 444. Love 444. Love Black Out. Love Black Out.
444 is not better than Reasonable Doubt.
I love American Gangster. Now that's an underrated album. American Gangster is the greatest Jay-Z album of all time.
I disagree with that. But American Gangster is definitely underrated. Oh my God, that feeling though, like it just make you want to go out and just, oh man, so the whole block up.
Oh man,
I love that feeling.
New York, don't kill me, New York. That's my opinion. Reasonable Doubt.
No, y'all, New York, y'all gotta fry this guy. Y'all, you shouldn't even be allowed to wear Timberlands no more. You shouldn't even be allowed to wear Timberlands. You should have to wear Birdman lugs. That's what you should have to wear.
I'm gonna wear lugs for a day in repentance for down in Reasonable Doubt. I apologize. I apologize to the rap gods. I apologize for feeling the way I feel, but that's just what it is. Reasonable Doubt, in my opinion, not Jay-Z's best work. And that's my false narrative for this episode of Laughs and Hip Hop Podcast. All right, so we every week we're gonna wrap up the show with a segment that we call Shameless Plug, where we allow either ourselves or our guests to pretty much plug what they got going on. I'm gonna let my brother Jose begin. Tell us what you're working on. Give us a shameless plug for this week.
Like I said, I'm working on a project EP. It's gonna be called Becoming Legendary 2. Dreams Never Die. The project is about 90% done. Like I told you, I got features from Mickey Fats, Curtis Williams from 2-9, Jace from 2-9. A guy named Satire, Core from Philly, you know what I'm saying? I got the whole Philly, they're gonna be behind me too, with that movement. I just want to get some more personal records, about like the relationship with my grandmother, like how impactful she was to me. The relationship that I have with one of my younger brothers, as well. The relationship can be up and down, it's like a roller coaster, but and then I also want to talk about how white America views Black people in general. And I want them to be able to listen to it and be able to visualize how we actually feel in society. So I feel like with those 3 records, I feel like it gives me an opportunity to vent, get some things off my chest, and then connect with the people as well. When it comes to like the club records, the street records, those are like really easy to do, you know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes to like sitting down and writing about things that is like troubling you, that takes time, thought, and you want to do it in a very concise way as well. So those are the couple of things I'm working on right now. I also have a freestyle to Dead Presidents that I'm gonna be dropping soon. You know what I'm saying? My guy. So that wasn't very.
It's probably more memorable than Reasonable Doubt. So I'll give you that.
I mean, Reasonable Doubt was very influential to me. I can say that.
Hopefully,
like,
it is better.
We'll see. We're gonna leave it up to Jay-Z. We're gonna see what Jay feel about it. But I got a visual to go with it too. I'm just waiting on the timing to get done with the project, and then we're gonna just drop some content and go from there. So.
A good deal. So my shameless plug. Just coming off of quarantine, kind of being lifted a little bit. Shows are opening back up. So I have a few shows coming up. You could catch me on Tuesday at R&B's Grill, open mic. I also have a show. I've been booked for a show in Charleston at the end of July. And I also have a show on the 4th of July. But I probably say the biggest thing I'm going to plug now, like I said earlier, I'm currently nominated for Best Local Comedian for Columbia, South Carolina, nominated by Free Times Columbia Best of 2020. The link is in the bio. Please go vote for me. We need to support. I'm the only Black comic nominated. So with that being said, Black Lives Matter, support Black comics, vote for me, links in the bio. You can vote once a day, every day. Polls close on July 3rd. So make sure you're going out, make sure you're voting, make sure you're giving me the support. That's my shameless plug. Continue to support the podcast. This is our first episode. I felt like it went pretty well. What you think, my brother?
It went wonderful, man. You know, we're going to go up in here. You know, we're going to go up from here. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't like, you know, how you made, you know, yourself look with, you know, the reasonable doubt slander. You know, I wish you could take it back. You know what I'm saying? But,
like,
you know.
The shrug emoji.
Listen, when the guys from New York come after you, I'm going to say it's above me. I'm going to say that. It's above me. I'm not, listen, when the DMs come in, I'm not even looking at that.
Listen, I'm ready. I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit. Listen,
you gotta take that one.
Look, I love New York. Dead ass.
All right, B.
It's been a great show, great first show. Please continue to support us. We're trying to grow the fan base. If you like what we're talking about, you like the content, please share it, help grow the page. We're gonna post it. We're gonna post our videos on YouTube. Of course, it'll be housed at the Laugh and Hip Hop Podcast, as well as our current pages. You can follow me at Mr. Nettles on Instagram. That's at MISTERNETTLES. Where can I find you, Jose?
King Jose Rivera, which is KING JOSE and then RIVERA.
And you can find both of us at Laughs and Hip Hop Podcast on Instagram. Follow the page, continue to support us. We hope to see you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.